Hi, this is Eluides Pagan, Doctor Who Collector. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
They all say, who is Doctor Who? Where is he from? What does he do? They wonder who is Doctor Who? So I ask you, who's Doctor Who?
Welcome back to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, the podcast that explores the festive world of Doctor Who collecting, the collectors, all kinds of Doctor Who merchandise, and sometimes we just talk about Doctor Who. It's a great place to do that. Welcome to the show. Brought to you in part by Forbidden Planet and Bags Unlimited Incorporated. I am Larry Van Mersbergen, your host. I've been a Doctor Who collector now for 42 years. Welcome to our 70th episode. We're celebrating 60 years of Doctor Who this year, and just to bring you back to where it all began, I actually started watching the program on September 27th, 1975 in Chicago, and the episode I saw was The Mutants Part 1, and I changed my life, literally, at that young age. I went on to open one of the first Doctor Who stores in Chicago that exclusively served Doctor Who fans. In other words, we took the store to the fan club meetings. It was like a mini convention. It was a brilliant idea. It was before conventions. It was really something else. We called the store Bundles from Britain. And I never thought once I finished that run, I sold it to my partner. I went to college. I went on to my life, and I never thought about it. Then I picked up a little book, and this wonderful little book is called Red, White, and Who: The Story of Doctor Who in America. And as I was going through the book, I noticed in the index it said Bundles from Britain, and I said, no way. So I found it on page 384, and I was shocked. I said, I didn't know this book was being written. I had no idea that there was a project underway, and I kind of came to the table a little late there. But anyway, I found out some other people had submitted, copies of the catalog and things like that to the writers, and they gave it a mention. And I introduced myself to the authors not long after that to say, I'm the guy that founded Bundles from Britain. And of course, the partner I sold it to was none other than Gene Smith. And if you're a Doctor Who guy, you know who Gene is. Gene is the showrunner of Chicago TARDIS. He is the CEO of Alien Entertainment. So he kept it going, just changed the name of the company over the years. And but that's where it all started. And that was an honorable moment for me to find out that I was on the ground floor of something even bigger than what it could have been. And that's just, it still humbles me to this day, not going to my head at all, because I think, wow, what an experience. Anyway, you can find a great link on my homepage at drwhocollectors.com to buy this book. You can buy it either from Amazon or directly from ATB Publishing. I don't know if it's going to get a second printing. There hasn't been a lot of indication, but if you keep buying it, maybe that'll inspire Mr. Bloomberg to run a few more. So let's have it. I don't make any money on it, by the way. It's not my goal here for that. I want everybody to have a copy of this wonderful book. If you want to know everything about, like I said, I did an episode on the on those Aeonian books, and that's a whole chapter in this wonderful book on Red, White, and Who, where the Doctor Who was broadcast, where it was shown in the United States, where it started. Just some great information there. We are part of the Direction Point Doctor Who Podcast Network. It is a great network of Doctor Who podcasts that seek to build your audience. So that's why we have trailers of other podcasts being played on our sister podcasts, and you can hear the trailer for this one on other podcasts. We want you to listen to other people and get that knowledge. There's so many people out there podcasting, and there's so much great stuff. So you can listen to Time Stream dreams. You know, Nathan and Juliet are just simply amazing. Their chemistry on the air is one of a kind, and they're wonderful people. And you got Police Box in a Junkyard. That's Matthew Kressel, Assad, and Eric O'Branson. What a great trio there. The Doctor Who Target Book Club with my good friend Tony Witt, and of course my other good friends Alison Fitch-Seyfried and Dalton Hughes, and amongst other guests that they bring on the program. I've been on that podcast a few times myself. So you can also find Traveling the Vortex, which is I think the number 4 podcast in the Doctor Who world. So, you know, Glenn and the guys there, they have a great show going. Almost 800 episodes are coming up on it. So for more information, you can go to directionpoint.org. Speaking of links, of course, 2 great links that I include on every episode because you can start anywhere. You need to have timelash.com on your bookmarks if you're a collector, and the subheading under that is the TARDIS Library. And that you could set up a free account. You could keep track of your collectibles, at least your media collectibles. I'm talking about your vinyl records, your books, your not magazines per se, but so just the printed material, the recorded material, CDs, vinyl, VHS tapes, Betamax, that kind of thing. It's a really good resource, and he's pretty thorough. That's Mr. Dan O'Malley out of the UK. And of course, the other website you need to have on hand, of course, is Howe's Transcendental Toy Box, or where we call it at doctorwhotoybox.co.uk. So there you go. Timelash.com gets you to the TARDIS Library, and doctorwhotoybox.co.uk. And of course, by Howe, we mean David J. Howe, a great guy, great friend, wonderful, wonderful man. He has the Doctor Who Museum that is just now opening. The Bundles from Britain catalog is in the museum. That is a hand-drawn catalog by the late Bill Eubanks. He was a dear friend of mine many years ago, was an artist, and he was an actor. And one day I want to dedicate a show to him as much as I can. You know, his artwork is almost long gone unless you have copies of Time Lord Review floating around. There you go. If you're looking for great Doctor Who items at great prices, then you need to go no further than just type in your browser DoctorWhoStore.com. That's the name. And that's the Doctor Who online store for Alien Entertainment. And it's just a wonderful place to get your books, your magazines, your figures. They've even got some hardcovers on there that I talk about on some of the episodes. So they're always running specials. You can get bargain things. They got closeouts. Of course, if you live in the Chicago area, the western suburbs, go to the shop, Alien Entertainment in Lombard on Main Street. You can't miss it. It's a double storefront. You'll see the big Doctor Who logo in the window. Usually Karen is there most days, but you can find Jean there on the weekends. And you can browse their incredible selection of not just Doctor Who, but they've got Harry Potter and Star Trek and all kinds of. I mean, there was a Yellow Submarine lunchbox from '68 in the bin there. There was a Mickey Mouse clock. You know, he's got all kinds of stuff. So there you go. You could also find some great stuff right here at our own website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com on the merchandise links. We are, of course, connected to Forbidden Planet, one of our sponsors. Just look through what you want to buy, click through, pay for it on Forbidden Planet. As long as you click through our website, we get a little bit of that money that you pay for the item. You don't pay more. You just help us out at the same time. So thank you for that. And don't forget, we have an eBay store as well. That's the first link on that page. And we've got Target books, lots of Target books, some hardcovers, and a few other vinyl records and things that were duplicates in the collection. I don't like to keep a lot of duplicates these days, but you can actually benefit. And I try to keep the prices reasonable. I take reasonable offers. Don't lowball me and say it's reasonable. I had somebody do that to me the other day. It was a brand new copy of the Caves of Androzani in hardcover, and they really like more than half off of what I was looking for. And I wasn't looking for something great. It's not an outrageous offer or anything, but I said, I'm really sorry. I wrote back and I said, this is a new book, so you need to really think about this. I never heard back, but that's okay. It will sell. I'm not worried. All proceeds, of course, for that benefit the podcast. And don't forget, of course, Who North America. And you got, Keith and Jenny, amazing people. I'll be seeing them shortly. We'll be talking about them later on the show. They opened the same year as Bundles from Britain, 1984. You can find them at www.whona.com. That's WHONA.com. And of course, I last but not least, and certainly not to be left off this list, are my friends at the Who Shop in London. I had to make a call over there. Dialing an international number, that is a skill. I had to look it up online how to do it. But the phone rang and they answered, and I said, "Hi, this is Larry Van Mersbergen from the United States." And the first response back was, "We love your podcast." So that made my day, made my month, and my year all at once. But I was calling about an order that had gotten accidentally bounced back to them. That's a long way to bounce back from here, just outside Chicago, back to the UK. So we got that straightened out. So you can find them there at thewhoshop.com altogether, thewhoshop.com. Of course, on our website, in addition to every podcast that's been recorded. Now, Apple cuts them off after a while. So, and Google Podcast is going away, I just found out. But if you're on other providers, they might not go back to episode 1 or 2 or 3. But you can always go back on our website at drwhocollectors.com to every podcast that was recorded. Coming up, we've got Chicago TARDIS 2023 in November. That's Thanksgiving weekend. Join us for the 60th anniversary, which will prove to be one of the best conventions in the Midwest. For more information on that, you can go directly to chicagotardis.com or find them on any of the social medias, including Threads now. But so far, we've got guests, the big names, of course. We got Jason Haig-Ellery, the CEO of Big Finish. I'm planning to have him sign my Sirens of Time cassette that I keep talking to him about every year. Of course, with your ticket, you always get Fraser Hines. What a great guy. Good friend. I consider him a friend anyway. He's just such a wonderful man. Helped me out quite a bit in the last year. And of course, he sings the theme song to this podcast. You can meet Michael Troughton. He's the son of Patrick Troughton. I've seen him in numerous dramas. And of course, he currently plays the Second Doctor. And who better to play the Second Doctor for Big Finish? We have 3 doctors, count them 3. We've got Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy coming to Chicago TARDIS this year, 3 doctors. We've got Stacy Smith, a great author, wonderful woman. Mickey Lewis will be there. He's been a Cyberman. He's been a Sea Devil. He was on the Sea Devil episode with Jodie Whittaker. We've got Lisa Bowerman. I am so excited to meet Lisa Bowerman. I have been in love with Bernie Summerfield for many, many years, and I can't wait to meet her. And of course, Carol Ann Ford, the first companion, will be there, and I am so honored to meet her this year. So hotel reservations are still there. You can still get it. Tickets are available at chicagotardis.com. Photograph and autograph stuff will be starting probably this week. As of this recording, October 1st, they should be ready to go. So as a member myself, I should be getting notices on that. They're also calling for panels right now. So if you want to propose a panel at Chicago TARDIS that's 60th anniversary related, go to chicagotardis.com, click on updates, and click on that panel thing. Of course, you have to be a member of the conference to present a panel, but panels do get approved. I mean, I know the program director personally. They do get in there. All right, cool. What else is going on? I am still working with Oricon. They're going to get a video edition of my 60 items for 60 years panel this year because I can't travel all the way to Oregon with all that stuff. It just doesn't work. Not easy to do, and that's also happening in November, so I'll let you know when that's happening. So far, the Twin Cities Console Room and I have been back and forth over a while about doing this at their show. Of course, now they've no longer gotten back to me. So if you're on that staff and you're listening, please shoot me an email and let me know what's happening. And also, I have been put on hold with the C2E2 conference because they were very interested in what I was doing, but their panels were full as of the last time I talked to them. So stay tuned for that. All right, what's new to the collection? New in the collection. Now, this is not a complete list because I haven't been able to keep track lately. It's been kind of I've been putting everything in boxes for the next event, which I will talk about on the main story today, which is Doctoberfest. So I've got a hardcover copy of Doctor Who A to Z. That was from 1986 or 87 from W.H. Allen. Matches the paperback. I got a really nice copy of the Ghostlight soundtrack. That was a different label entirely. I have a 1972 Jigsaw puzzle, the number 1 edition with John Pertwee and Bessie. It's only missing one piece, but the box is in really good condition. So there was more on the way, but that's all for now. Of course, if you want to see everything up close, come on down to Doctoberfest. That's in Plainfield, Indiana, at the Courtyard by Marriott. We're going to talk about that conference with our main story today. So more on that there. Many rumors out there. And I talk about rumors regarding hardcover books by W.H. Allen and Wingate and Longbow. There are over 100 of those out there, but there have been rumors about third printings of certain books that, we've never seen, nobody's seen evidence of, and we want to investigate those. We want to make sure that they're correct. We want to make sure our list is correct. We want to make sure collectors are informed. But I'm always on the lookout for concrete proof. So if you're a collector and you're sitting on, let's say, a third printing of Space War, let us know. I mean, we don't want your book. We want the copy, a photo of the inside page and the label, the jacket spine, because we want to see what's on there. Is it Wingate? Is it W.H. Allen? Because the information is just not available. W.H. Allen doesn't exist anymore. So, and Virgin Books didn't have a whole lot of information either. So there might be something out there, but so far we've got no evidence to prove that. Only 1/3 edition came to light, but now we're trying to figure out if there was a second edition. Loch Ness Monster, people have seen the first, they've seen the third, but nobody's seen a second. Maybe that was a publisher error. We'll find out. Anyway, you can contact me at drwhocollectorspodcast@gmail.com and put that in the subject line. So on today's show, I'll be talking about the upcoming festival, which is Doctoberfest, coming up on October 21st. 22nd, 23rd, I guess that we've got a dinner on the Friday night. We've got the festival all day on Saturday and a brunch with Sophie on Sunday. Unfortunately, by the taping here, the dinner and brunch tickets will be sold out. You only need a ticket for the panels. You do not need a ticket to attend the festival. But seating is limited, so get on there right away. It's at whona.com. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. By the way, if you ever wondered where my podcast ranks in the world of Doctor Who podcasts, FeedSpot at feedspot.com has a ranking of the top 90 Doctor Who podcasts, and as of this taping, we are at number 31 of the top 90. So I am pleased to be in the upper third. We've moved up a few spots in the last few months, so thank you for your support. I also want to thank our patrons. We have a Patreon page. That's at patreon.com/Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, all together. And if you hit us up at the $15 level or more, that's $15 per month, but you can cancel anytime, or you can subscribe, watch the videos, and quit, whatever you want to do. That just helps us keep the bills paid. Anyway, go up there to find exclusive video content. If you want to see the video interview with Tasha Achilleos, or with Peter Purvis, or with Sadie Miller, for instance, or Lauren Cornelius, or the video we're going to do today, you can see that up there too. We've got some props that are on display that are pretty cool. Our theme song is Who's Doctor Who, composed by Barry Mason and Les Reed, performed by Fraser Hines, used by permission. You can hear this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Pandora, on iHeartRadio, and Podbean. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast, including our YouTube channel. We are a Direction Point podcast network. After the break, we will have our main story, and today we're talking about Doctoberfest, and I've got my guest here, Eluides Pagan, is my guest. He's been on the show before as part of the Collectors Roundtable series that we did, but he's talking to me exclusively today about the show and about what he's doing there and what he's bringing. And he's probably the largest collector of Kerblam items from the story Kerblam. So I'm really impressed with that, because I don't have a lot of 13th Doctor stuff, but that's pretty cool. So we'll have that right after the break here. And of course, the most outrageous offer, which may or may not be a most outrageous offer. We'll let you decide that. So anyway, stay tuned.
Traveling the Vortex.
Are you ready to embark on an epic journey through time and space? Join the thousands of Whovians around the world who've discovered Traveling the Vortex, the ultimate Doctor Who podcast for die-hard fans and curious newcomers alike.
Every week, we dive deep into the Whoniverse, discussing the episodes, theories, and hidden gems. We dissect the Doctor's adventures, share behind-the-scenes stories, and explore the legacy of this iconic show.
Traveling the Vortex brings fans together, fostering a global community of Whovians. Whether you're a fan of classic or new Who, there's something for everyone.
Join us on this incredible journey as we unravel the mysteries of time and space.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to Traveling the Vortex today on your favorite podcast platform.
Traveling the Vortex. Your ticket to adventure awaits.
Traveling the Vortex is a proud member of the Direction Point Podcast Network. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Hi, I'm Juliet.
And I'm Nathan.
Experience Doctor Who from the very beginning through a classic fan's eyes.
And through the eyes of a new Who fan.
Reminisce and relive those classic moments with Nathan as he offers fun insight.
Or experience them for the first time with Juliet as she dwells on social issues, history, fashion, and the size of a flashlight.
We're the Time Streams Podcast.
Find us on Spotify, Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
We are going on a journey, a very long journey, through the world of the Target novelizations in publication order. Every week, we are looking at a new book, talking about Terrence Dicks, Malcolm Hulke, and all our Doctor Who novelization friends. Whatever you do, keep turning the pages. This is Jason Miller of the Doctor Who Literature Podcast, a member of the Direction Point Podcast Network, and you are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Up there is the scanner, those are the doors, that is a chair with a panda on it. Sheer poetry, dear boy.
Now it's time for the main story here on the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. I wanted to take a moment outside of my normal programming here to talk about what is quickly becoming one of the most popular events in the Midwest, and I'm talking about Doctoberfest. That is a one-day Doctor Who festival being held in Plainfield, Indiana at the Courtyard by Marriott on October 21st. What I wanted to do here is showcase this event. While some tickets are still available, unfortunately the dinner and the brunch will be unavailable by the time this reaches air, but that's okay. I am honored, of course, to be a guest at this wonderful festival, and joining me as my guest today is a fellow guest and fellow collector, my friend Eluides Pagan. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much, Larry. This is quite an honor as well. I love your podcast. I've been listening for a few years now, and it's been great meeting you in person as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I know this is not your first appearance on the show. You actually appeared on one of our collectors roundtables a year or two ago. So I was glad to have you back. I need to get back to those. Those were so much fun to do. But one of the things, of course, one of the big events that we're doing at Doctoberfest is having a dedicated room to Doctor Who collectibles and props and things like that. And so the first thing I wanted to ask, of course, is that you're one of the few guests that's ever been in the Who room here. So I wanted to get your reaction to that. What was that experience like?
It's nice to know that I'm not the only one that gets all these things and tries to dedicate one spot in the house to without being killed by the wife. No, it's wonderful. I thought it was really cool to see a lot of that stuff as well. I know there's plenty of collectors out there. Just being able to meet face to face and actually see how the collections are being presented in their own homes is really cool. You know, for the Who cave versus the man cave type thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, and of course, after 43 years of putting this together, it's still, it overwhelms me, and sometimes I forget what's here. That's
exactly.
I've been going through one of the most recent things that I've discovered is I thought I had all the research on this was the you're familiar with the Viewmasters. I know I showed you some of those.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I ran into somebody who was selling the Tom Baker full circle sleeve, but it was in red, and he went on to say that the yellow one was extremely rare and hard to find. And I said back to him, I said, well, wait a minute. When I had my shop, I had a ton of those yellow ones. So you're telling me those are really hard to find, but I've never seen the red one. So there you go. I didn't know they came in different colors. It's like right now with the
the 14th Doctor sonic screwdriver. If you bought it from Character Online, you got it in a white box, but if you bought it from the store, you got it in a blue box.
Right.
So there was a lot of differences there, and some collectors are like, well, what's this and that? I said, well, I want both colors if I can get it, because there's a variant. And
Right.
there are variants all over the place. So anyway, we'll start with the collectible room. What's going to be there? So tell me, what exactly are you going to have down there for us to see?
In the room itself, I'll be honest, I'm not sure yet. I've been thinking of all kinds of things that I wanted to put in there to show off. Besides what would be on the panel, I can kind of pull a little sneak preview of a couple things. I'm looking at a couple scripts that I will put in there. It'll be a chance to see my Roboform costume that was from the Christmas Invasion and then used in The Runaway Bride.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty sure we've screen matched it to actually being the Roboform that was kidnapping Donna.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's one of the few that wasn't blown up in that episode. So we're pretty certain that may be what this one's from. So I have the full Saint Nick outfit with the Roboform mask. Unfortunately, I don't have the Saint Nick mask. I may end up having to get a custom made one if I cannot track down an original to add to it. And so that'll be on a mannequin in there. I do have, I don't know how clear this will show up.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
The Kerblam receipt.
Right.
I've got a few different ones from the episode. Apparently, I'm going to have quite a few Kerblam items there. Talking to some people in the UK, they're into props and everything. It seems like I may have the biggest Kerblam props item collection in the US and
that's great.
Possibly even the world. I used to have Twirly, which I showed off last year at Doctoberfest.
Yes.
Peter McTeague, who wrote the story, had actually contacted me last year while I was on the panel at Doctoberfest. He sent me a quick message going, wait, how did you get that? I was supposed to get one of the 3 Twirlies, and somehow he wasn't able to. So I go, you know what? I got to help you out, man. So I got him. I took my Twirly. I go, it's yours just for the amount that I originally paid for it. I know it was worth a lot more than that. I had many offers. I go, I just can't do this right now. This is just too cool an item for me to just let go of. And I've never been one for trying to make a profit off these things. I just want collectors to collectors. Unfortunately, there were some issues in the UK with shipping. In fact, they ended up closing down postal service for a lot of international things due to
I
guess ransomware that hit.
Yeah, there was ransomware and a postal ransomware. Yeah.
So it took what normally could take about 1 to 2 weeks, took about 2 months to get to him.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, what was opened, no matter how well I had packed it, it was shattered to pieces.
Oh.
So now there's only 2 fully functional Twirlies out there, and I know who owns them. But sadly, Twirly was demolished, so it broke my heart. He does still have it and knows someone that might be able to somewhat reconstruct it the best they can. But unfortunately, Twirly's gone. But outside of that, I'm going to have quite a few things from Kerblam, definitely. A few other things. I guess most of the props I have right now that I may be showing off there come from the Jodie era, which I know can be divisive with some fans, but I love them anyway. And it's kind of cool to hear from someone going, wow, you have that from Kerblam, and you got this as well. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like you do have the largest collection of Kerblam items. So that's kind of cool to hear in a way.
It is. It is. Yeah. It's great when someone else comes up and says, wow, I didn't realize how large the collection was. And I got that comment from Stephen Warren Hill once at Chicago TARDIS when he came in to basically watch the panel I was doing. And he came up to me afterwards. He goes, I had no idea how much you had. And I said, well, that's, it's just, it came with the fact that I started with 3 items back in 1981 and it just kept expanding. And then as my interests kind of go in different directions and I'm trying to complete the hardcover run, I'm trying to complete my blue spine run and stuff like that. When things come in
Right.
and I go, oh, look at that. Yeah, I should get one of those. To my listeners, if you're wondering why you can't see anything, this is a podcast. But if you want to see this video interview, you can go to Patreon. Just follow directions on the website, DoctorWhoCollectors.com, and you can watch this video for a $15 subscription. I don't care if you do that and then cancel it, but at least then you can watch the video. But behind me, I have a Time Lord headpiece that could be from either Invasion of Time or Arc of Infinity. I'm waiting on documentation, but it also arrived slightly damaged. It's just hard to ship stuff from the UK. Just one of those things that you do the best you can. It was pretty well packed, but I had to some of the this little lattice piece here I had to re-glue back on, but not a big deal. It was hot glued on there in the first place. So the BBC, as I've learned with my interviews with Brian Wiga, they are cheap, and they don't use the highest quality construction methods for props. I know that. Just the one story about Tom Baker pulling the sonic screwdriver out of his pocket, it was in two pieces. So they had to quickly glue it back together because they only had one. And
Right.
but apparently they had a bunch of these made because of all the all the Time Lords wandering around the Panopticon would have one of these on, and the ones that like Baruso wore or whatnot, or the one that Tom Baker wore in one of those, and one that that the Council wore in Arc of Infinity were all really ornate, because I looked at those images and I thought it's really close, but I was able to match the Gallifrey logo here exactly to those images. So those were on there as well. And of course, I was also comparing them to my little action figure here. So I've got one of these here to kind of use as my guide, although they've got the Gallifrey images a little high, but it's only on the action figure apparently. So there you go. What I'm bringing down as well, as you can probably see in the corner here, all these boxes, I've been packing for Doctoberfest since July 15th. Because that's how long it takes to carefully pack everything for travel, especially items that could get broken in progress. Because I did 1 year I accidentally mispacked one of my pewter K9 from the Danbury Mint, and I had to get a jeweler to weld the tail back on properly. So I said, I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I really made sure that everything is there. But what's going to be interesting is what I'm putting out in the collector room will not be the same items that I show in my panel, because I'm doing a very special show this year. It's called 60 Items for 60 Years. And I've got one item from each era of Doctor Who from 63 to the present day, and they're in complete order in boxes by year. And you're not going to get to see that till the actual show. And some of the items, like for instance, I've had a lot of people write to me and say, well, what do you have from 63? Because nothing came out in 63. I said, no, you're not exactly right there. There were things that came out, not exactly BBC official related, but things that are related or important to Doctor Who were released in 63. And there were also years like 71. What came out in 71? I'll tell you what came out in 71. So I've got one item from each thing. The challenge was that it had to be an item from each year that I already had. And I was able to meet that challenge. So we're also going to be doing this show at Chicago TARDIS as well. So that'll be exciting. The other exciting thing about this show is that it's not just Eluides and myself and a few other people on this program that make this day special. We have a very special guest coming down, and that would be the wonderful Sophie Aldred, who played Ace with the 7th Doctor and the 13th Doctor. So it'll be very exciting to get that. I know you've spoken to Sophie recently, so I know she is also excited to be there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've known her for plenty of years now, and she is such a giving person, very caring, a sweetheart. I can't even say enough about her. Such a good friend, and she is so excited to have the chance to meet fans this way. With a smaller event like this here in the U.S., it's a bit more intimate. She gets to meet and converse with people more personally. Uh, even shows like Chicago TARDIS, where numerous times being there with her and many of the other guests, just seeing it, they do such a great job of the fan interaction.
Yes.
And they really, she's one of those that tries so hard to make sure not to just rush you through. She really wants to spend some time with you a bit, which I know sometimes with organizers drives them nuts because they're like, oh my goodness, but you've got like a line of 100 people behind this person, and you're just. But at the same time, you know, it also helps with those events because people know, like, you go to Chicago TARDIS, as huge as it even is, you get a good opportunity to meet them, and it doesn't feel like you're just in a machine like you might at some of the other bigger conventions that bring in celebrities from every movie, TV show,
right,
rock singer, whatever. And so with Doctoberfest being much smaller, it's almost more like from talking with her and some other people even, this seems to be more of the traditional style of show that you would see in the UK, because a lot of times they literally are just a one-day event. Sometimes they call them a convention, or like Doctoberfest. I keep saying convention, but it's a festival.
It's a festival, right?
Yeah,
it's a festival.
And it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get a little bit more one-on-one time. Like I said, it's much more intimate. It's just a lot of fun, and it feels a little bit more laid back, which is great. So very excited to have those opportunities like this, and hopefully over the years it'll grow, and we might be able to eventually see more bigger name guests. Not saying that anyone else that's going to be here along with Sophie are small fries. Well, I consider myself a small fry. Not that big a thing. I've been a fan more than anything, so it's kind of strange to go, okay, I'm a fan. I've gone to all these things for years as a fan. Then somehow I fell into acting as a guest liaison, trying to help arrange for guests at Doctoberfest over the years. And now being a little bit of I don't know if you call it a featured guest, but a guest that's up on a panel, showing off things, answering questions, giving tips. This is kind of weird for me, but it's just so cool. So, and I've gotten to make a lot of friends at a lot of shows like this. And these are the shows also that make it so much easier to start getting to know some of these people that are celebrities, that you go, okay, I know they're a celebrity. I've looked up to them for years, but oh my goodness, I'm a friend. And I've seen numerous times where people have been to so many shows that you'll see celebrities like Sophie, Colin, Baker, Sylvester, that they know your name already. You come up there and they know you. And sometimes it's like, have I come off as being so obsessive that that's why they remember me? And, you know, a lot of times I'm reassured, no. I promise it's not because you come off as obsessive. It's just, I recognize you coming up and having little conversations. And there's something about that that's pretty humbling and cool to be able to do that. I mean, my brother went nuts. And my son does, when I've been like in London and they've come with me. I remember going to the 50th anniversary, for example, and going up to get some autographs there. And my brother was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. When they go, oh, Weavis, you made it here to London. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. How are you? And he just turns and looks at me. It's like, are you kidding me? They know you.
Yeah.
He goes, how many conventions have you gone to? I'm like, not that many. I've just tried to come off not as crazy, but just, you know, thankful and things like that, and just having a good conversation, not always about Doctor Who, conversations about other things they've done. And they tend to remember you. So that's kind of cool. And then to grow to this point where I have this collection that also gets some attention, not just from other fans, but a lot of times from the actors that have been on the show, that a lot of them, if they weren't fans before, they're just like, well, it's just any other job, to actually turning into fans. Some who were fans before they ever got on the show. So it's neat when they're suddenly looking at some of your collectible items and going, oh my goodness, where did you get this? This is wonderful. I would love to get something like this. So it's kind of cool to have that opportunity to share stuff like that. I've had Colin and Frasier going, okay, where did you get this script from? Like from two doctors, they're going, this is fantastic, as they're signing and posing with it.
Right.
Flipping through the pages, going, oh my goodness, I remember this.
Yeah.
And pointing out, oh, there was a change here in this episode of your script where this happened. That didn't happen. If you realize that, we changed that, or it ended up being ad-libbed, and they like the ad-lib better than the actual line. So that's been pretty neat to experience. So, but yeah, I love shows like this where, again, one of the things I know, like you showing off your collectibles, I don't like the idea of these things just being hidden away somewhere by a private collector and no one really gets to see it. My philosophy has always been, I want other fans to see it. I get more joy out of sharing it with as many people as possible, and for people that would never have gotten this opportunity before to have that. I mean, like for those that can see on video, I got this nice, lovely little bottle of Bubble Shock that there were a ton of these from Sarah Jane that if you went to Gallifrey 2 years ago, the return from lockdown, if you were like the highest level, they were giving these away to everyone that got those tickets.
Nice.
And for the first time going to Gallifrey, I had to do it. Because I don't know if I'll ever go to Gallifrey again. So I've got to put the money into this just for the experience. So the next thing you know, I'm getting a Bubble Shock bottle and a couple other cool little things that were actually on the show. Something like that you'll see there in the collectibles room. Scripts. These are just, probably can't quite read it there, but Torchwood script.
Oh, nice.
Are from two of my favorite stories. One is, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out on the title now. I'm terrible about that.
It's okay.
It's called Meat. The episode, I believe, was called Meat.
Okay.
It was more of the real world type of story, no supernatural. And spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen it, my favorite line is at the end, because I like to. Which, if you understand what was going on in that story, then finding out the truth, that line was just scary beyond belief. And then, of course, I have episode 3 of Children of Earth, which to me is probably the greatest storyline of Torchwood that has been made. So little things like that you'll get to see. I don't know if I'll have it at the panel itself. I probably will, but it'll also be in the prop room. I won't give away too much other than this wonderful little journal that was from a Jodie episode, and all I will say is it's a diary that has a lot of writing in it, actual poems in it as well, from a very famous writer and his wife, and something to deal with a villa.
Okay.
So I think that might be a hint to quite a few people what this actually is. It's a true screen use prop that is probably one of my favorite things that I've gotten recently. So some of that will definitely be in the collector's room to see. I just figured at this point, most of it's going to be yours, Larry. Most of it will be yours, because I think you have some of the cooler stuff to show than I do in a collectibles room. I may just have some autographed items and things like that people can see and go, oh, I've heard of this, or I've seen that, or I would love to get that, and just little odds and ends, and just show the props at the panel itself.
Yeah, that'll be fun. One of the things that's going to make your 13 collection a little bit more exciting is that joining me, of course, will be Katie Haynes in full costume, and she will be doing live TikToks from the collecting room. So I imagine
that'll be great.
She'll want to show off some of the props with her amazing ability to recreate the voice of Jodie Whittaker. But yeah, I've got a range of stuff all the way from 64 to the present day. As far as one of the most recent things I picked up was a original box of Dalek sweet cigarettes. It's a little tiny box. It's got a Dalek painted on the front, and had to be very careful because there are reproductions of those floating around. So I contacted the guy who does the reproductions. I showed him the picture of mine. He goes, "No, look at the aging on that. That's got to be the real thing," because his are brand new. In fact, he sells them with the sweet cigarettes in them if you want.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool. But that was a find there as well. But the whole idea is I'm trying to show a range of stuff from the entire 60-year run. And so we've got items that were produced, some of it by the BBC, some of it by like Wall's Ice Cream, some of it by actually the Dalek Sweet cigarette boxes came with a little collector card inside. And each of those cards formed the original story for the first Dalek comic strip. I do have all of those cards. So, and the fact is these cards are in special, they're a special size. They go in special sleeves. And so I had to track down a special binder for those. They're called cigarette cards. I guess in England, every cigarette pack came with one of those little cards, and that was the thing. So I've got that to show off as well. The binder comes in a nice slipcase. It was not very expensive because I guess it's very common over there to collect those cards and those sleeves, but you can't get those here. I had actually sent up. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to ask. So, just out of curiosity, so those cards, was that with the candy cigarettes or actual true cigarettes?
Well, the Dalek ones came with the candy cigarettes, but there are other cards that were done that came with real cigarettes. So there was all kinds of if you look up cigarette cards UK, you'll find like from the 30s on up, they've been producing these little 2x3 cards. And but that was a very specific thing to the UK because the packets of cigarettes were smaller than they were here, kind of like the cereal boxes were smaller. Everything was a lot smaller over there. They decided to make, as people started to collect them, hobby manufacturers started to make these special sleeves for them. And so they're unique to the point where I took pictures and dimensions and I sent those over to Bags Unlimited. And I said, hey, just so you'll know, people are getting these over here. Maybe this is something you want to look into. And they said that they sent the whole thing to their research and development. And they're going to see if it's viable. And they might start producing those here in the United States. Also, the same size cards were also used in the Patrick Troughton Wall's Ice Cream cards, and I've got all of those cards along with the book that you're supposed to paste the cards in. I have a lot of stuff from the Amazing World of Doctor Who campaign, where you had the wall chart, which was actually done by Typhoo Tees. It wasn't done by the BBC, and Chris Achilleos did the artwork for that, which is really cool. So the poster, the individual cards that go with the and I thought about figuring out a way to Velcro the cards onto the poster, but that didn't seem to work. So I've got the cards in frames, so you could see those, as well as two of the puzzles that came out with the Amazing World of Doctor Who. There's a K9 puzzle, there's a Dalek puzzle that came out completely by Typhoo Tees. So it's really quite amazing that as you go back in time, there was so many different people that got licenses for limited runs of things, and especially even today, the licenses are pretty hard to get now. But there was a time when you just paid, the Sugar Smacks campaign in 1971. John Pertwee appeared on the front cover of a cereal box. And in each of the boxes, you could get a little button badge that had, the Bessie or Joe or the Doctor or the Master. And I've got all 6 of those. So that's it's a really cool thing. Of course, the original Sugar Smacks box, I've seen one in existence because a guy actually found it in a landfill in a pile of flattened boxes. And he had to kind of be real careful. He put it, refolded it, stuffed it with newspaper to hold its shape, and it's probably priceless as far as the fact that people they poured the cereal out and they threw it away. It's kind of like the early editions of Radio Times magazine, and I've got a bunch of those. A lot of times it was all right, that's it, the day's over, and you threw it in the dustbin. You didn't keep them unless you were a hoarder. And a lot of times people went in and one of my favorite places was Kelly's Books in England. They closed recently. Kelly retired, but she would go in and buy these estate sales full of Radio Times magazines, and a lot of times she started putting Doctor Who listings on the thing, and the thing started selling. So a lot of time, sometimes there would be like a little picture next to the listing, or there would be a article or a full photo. I've got one from Evil of the Daleks Part 3, where there's a big photo of Jamie and Victoria with a Dalek, and a little bit of an article about the show. And sometimes it's like, well, the cover is the World Cup or whatnot, but inside there's some really great stuff. Or there's a picture of Patrick Troughton in full color in the back of the magazine. So there's all that stuff that a lot of collectors are now just starting to find out about. I've got on the way. I've got an issue of Radio Times from the late 70s on the way, with Peter Davison on the front cover. He and another actress were in a comedy about lawyers, and I think it ran for one season. But he's on the cover of that Radio Times. The other one I'm trying to find, and it's almost impossible to find, was one from the early 70s with Peter Purvis on the front cover with his with the dog from Blue Peter. It's just him on the front cover. And I asked him about it when I interviewed him. He said he didn't have a copy, but I said, I've seen only pictures of it, but I've never seen an actual one. So those are things that are like related, but not necessarily official. So I kind of go for, I like those unusual things. That's when I put out a wish list, when I talk to Gene Smith, like for instance, and he'll say, hey, I've got this thing here. Are you interested? In fact, I think I have it here. I don't know if you know who Paul Majors is, but
not off the top of my head. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I just became friends with him on Facebook, which is great. But this is the original Annual Years copy that was done it was Obverse Books. It was a short print run, and I guess not many of these got out, but the second edition got thousands of prints. So this was in somebody's collection that Gene bought, and he held it aside and said, this sounds like something up your alley. I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. Because he wasn't sure he could sell it right away because nobody knows who Paul Majors is. So it's like one of those.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
You just told me how to pronounce the last name, because I've always thought it was Mayers.
Oh, no, it's Majors.
Looking at that. Yeah. So that's why I'm going, no, I don't know his name. Wait a minute. I think, yes, I know who he is. As soon as I started starting to pull it up, I know. Yeah. I did not know that's how it's pronounced.
This is an interesting photo because, as you can see, it's Fraser Hines signing a album, City of Death soundtrack album. And you're thinking, well, how is that related? Well, the story goes is that Fraser would sometimes consult, or he would do some voiceovers or stuff like that, and then he would get a promotional copy of the album. Well, at one point he was getting so many of these that he couldn't keep them all in his little house. So David J. Howe contacted me and said, hey, would you be interested in any of these albums from Fraser? I said, sure. And he said, well, how about City of Death? He's got that. I said, sure. He said, would you like Fraser to sign it? Yeah, why not? And so David Howe snapped this photo of Fraser signing the record, and I've got the actual record with the photo. I got another copy of the photo with the record, so I've got proof that Fraser signed it. And the photo came from my good friend David J. Howe, who's actually a next door neighbor of Fraser Hines. They have they have an open door policy. He comes over.
Yep, I've heard about that.
And so and of course the other great story about Fraser. And by the way, I'm still thinking that we'll be at Doctoberfest and Fraser will walk through the front door because he comes with your ticket usually. And it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But there was an item I was really looking after. I think I still have it up on the shelf. I didn't pick it down yet, but somebody was selling an original proof of the Target book, The Gunfighters, that was signed by Donald Cotton with all the editorial marks and all that stuff. And I said, sure, I'd love to get it. And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't ship to the United States. I said, well, what are you talking about? I'll pay for the shipping. Oh, no, it's not that. I just don't do it. I'm like, okay. So I never do this, but I reached out to David Howe and I said, could you help me out here? Could I have it shipped to you? He goes, yeah, no problem. So I changed my address and get it shipped to David. And I said, David, I'll pay you for whatever it is to send it to me. He goes, I'll do you one better. I'm going to send it with Fraser and he'll give it to you in November. So Fraser Hines brought this package over. The package was unopened. and he like handed it to me. He said, "I have the package," and he's like, "Open that up. I want to see what you got." So he's having breakfast. So I sat down with him and I opened it up and I pulled this out and he said, "What is that?" I said, "This is an original proof of the Gunfighters signed by Donald Cotton." He looked at it and he goes, "Oh my gosh, that is like, how did you get that?" I'm like, "Well, somebody had it. Somebody had gotten it from Donald Cotton and stowed it away and thought, oh, maybe I can make a few dollars on it." It wasn't actually very expensive, but I thought, what a cool thing to have. So it's got the, I posted pictures of it and everybody, of course, jumped on it going, "All right, what's the name of that company? That company doesn't appear anywhere." I said, "That's the typesetter that they use." AvoSet is the typesetter that Target used or W.H. Allen used to take the written word and put it into that. And they would send sheets. Now, normally it would be bound because David Howe looked at it and said, "Yeah, it should have been bound, but it looks like they cut off the binding just to make it easier to package." But it's kind of it's a neat thing. It's one of those unique things. The other thing that let's see, I think I've already packed them, but I've got several unused Target book covers that were flat, and one of them I got from Alistair Pearson, so I know that one's legit. And I've got one from Inferno and the Zarbi, so those seem to be coming out. David Howe said he's got thousands of those sitting in his warehouse. So it's just all the covers that they sent out, and of course they did 10,000 run or whatnot, and they had about 1,000 left over, so they just put them back on the shelf, and thought, well, maybe we'll use them again, maybe we won't. So there's things like that. So there'll be a lot. I think there'll be a lot for people to kind of get. It might be overwhelming for some when they come in. I mean, I'm going to have 3 inflatable Daleks, fully inflated. I've got 2 TARDIS tents, the original one from the 80s and a later one that was a little more elaborate. Gosh, I'm just thinking I'll have a remote control Dalek on display, a remote control K9, got the talking Dalek, the talking K9, and they all talk now. So it's going to be really fun. I've also got the 92 chess set that'll be on full display, and that's actually part of my panel. It's the only piece that'll be out for both the museum and the panel because that's my 92 item. And I have a special table.
That's a beautiful piece.
And and of course, I think you saw the table that I had made with the Gallifrey logo on it and all that. So I'll have all that with me. So it'll be a lot of fun to do that. But of course, we're not the only ones on the program. So we've got a lot of other people that are going to be there. Maybe talk about some of the other guests that are going to be in house there, if you remember.
One of the ones I'm very excited about is Troika Brodsky.
Yes.
I met a quick bit, I believe, last year, Chicago TARDIS.
Yes, yeah, I know. I met him there.
He contacted me a few weeks ago, asking me a little bit about Doctoberfest. He goes, he just learned about this and was just curious because he was playing with the idea of traveling that distance, but he was like, but for a one day, and that is quite a distance because he's out. I guess he lives right out near St. Louis, where he actually has this great exhibition going on at a museum of sonic screwdrivers and some stuff dealing with history of Doctor Who. So I was talking to him about it and convinced him, hey, you should check this out if you're able to. And he's really excited to come out. So he said he was going to do that and goes, would you like to see the Sonic that I have? One of the Sonics that I didn't put in the exhibition yet. I said, oh, that would be fantastic. He goes, would that be okay? If I kind of showed it off a tiny bit? And I go, please do. In fact, I contacted the show, the true showrunners from Who North America, Keith and Jenny, about this, and talked to Troika a little bit and going, I would love it if we could he be a co-guest with me on my panel, so that he could show that off to everyone instead of just being someone to go, hey, you want to take a look at this and then sit down for a bit, especially since I'm still new to this. Almost a full hour of discussing stuff while there's a lot. I'm still trying to get my, I don't know how do you put it, my sea legs on how to present properly and what's going to work best. And I thought this would be great to have a partner up there that also has stuff like this to share. So I'm very excited that he's going to be there to show off an actual screen use Sonic or Sonics. I haven't talked to him in too much detail, but I have a feeling there might be more than one that he's going to show. for people to be able to actually see this, because again, here in the US, to actually see a real screen use Sonic, that's
Yeah.
like one of the holy grails in a sense, you know?
It is, yeah.
So excited for him to be there. Then other podcasters are going to be there. A professional cosplayer.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm so
Elena-
bad with names, and I should bring this up so I could look at.
Elena Van Arendonk will be there. She is the cosplay
Yes.
expert. She's somebody I know really well. She's very well connected to people like Jen Greeley, who are, you know, just amazing masters of the cosplay. And then, of course, we've got Kevin Lyon, who's going to be there as well, who's doing a presentation on custom toys. So that will be fun. Jason Wolfson, I believe, is our Doctor Who Lego guy.
Yes.
And he's also a podcaster, I believe, and I'm hoping to get him involved with our network. That would be really nice. And of course, you and I, you know, we're doing all that great stuff. And the other thing too that's really great about this, we'll have a free shuttle that'll take you to Who North America. And if you've never been to Who North America, they actually have one of the best looking museum collections of pieces that I've ever seen. And of course, but I still love when I was with Keith last year and he said, "Oh, you've got a Cyberman in the box. I don't have that." I said, "Keep trying, my friend."
Yeah, I know he's really big into trying to show off all kinds of merchandise that from over the years getting, as well as he's got some fantastic custom pieces that have been made by fans that you'd almost think were professional.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a very impressive collection. He took me through there personally and showed me a lot of the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I remember this or that. He's got things that I've been able to that have slipped through my fingers over the years, like a TARDIS tuner and the tile set and things like that. And what's really interesting, when I looked into Who North America originally, they opened their doors in 1984, the same year I opened Bundles from Britain. Completely didn't know about each other at that point, but we were in business at the same time back in the day, so that is really super cool. So you get that. We've also got a vendor room too, so if you want to you know, buy Doctor Who items from great vendors, you can see that as well as an artist room where they've got artists who are making Doctor Who related things. And I bought a lamp last year that was a TARDIS lamp. It had a police box and all that, and it was really wonderful. It sits on my desk at work. It's always a conversation piece when people come into my classroom and go, "Well, you can't be all bad. You're a Doctor Who guy," you know, that kind of thing. And of course, all of our panels and all the wonderful things. And of course, you know, you can get a great rate at the Courtyard by Marriott. If you go to whona.com and click on Doctoberfest 23, and you can get a link there that'll take you to the hotel for a really nice low rate on the rooms.
Right.
And there's still plenty of rooms available. So there's that. I know I looked at the amenities to the hotel. There's not a restaurant in the hotel, but there's a little like diner inside
like a cafe.
there. Yeah, which is fine. But there's also places within walking distance right around the hotel. So.
Yeah, to point out, when you go in through the main entrance, there's also a back entrance that almost looks like a main entrance on the other side of the cafe/bar. And as soon as you step out, you've got an outdoor patio right there that's beautiful, especially for hopefully nice weather. But literally, as you step right out that entrance, it's like you are in the courtyard of an indoor-outdoor mall that's right there with a movie theater. I think it's an AMC off to the left. And literally, I was in shock when I walked over there in seeing that. It was just beautiful. I mean, literally, this is not just a sell for Doctoberfest, but hey, if you're right there, you've got a mall literally steps outside the back entrance. This is a perfect location. I also wanted to point out, like you were saying with the shuttle to Who North America, something people might not realize, very family friendly in the sense that some of the other things they're going to be having that are not at the hotel itself, but they'll be held at Who North America is Doctor Who themed Punch and Judy show.
Yes,
and
yes.
like an amateur thing. This is a professional Punch and Judy I don't know, puppeteers that do this. I missed it last year. Sadly, I'll miss it this year because I'll be, you know, primarily at the hotel. So hopefully maybe someone can get a little video footage so I can see it, but I've heard great things. So for the kids, there's a couple Punch and Judy shows. They're going to have games over there for kids to play. So there is some things for some of the younger fans as well. So if you were to go over to Who North America and you can buy some merchandise there, there's going to be a set up dining truck as well that people can get food from, as well as, like I said, the games, the Punch and Judy show. I think there will be a couple vendors there at the shop as well.
Yes,
and
yes.
pretty much, I believe all the vendors, both at the hotel and at the shop, one of the directives was it's Doctor Who themed.
Yes.
So like you go there and go, oh, okay, this is a vendor for just soaps. Well, if there's a vendor for soaps, it's going to be Doctor Who themed soaps. It's not
Right.
just going to go there and, well, what does this really have to do with Doctor Who? Nothing. We just sold vendor space. No, this is the edict was have to be Doctor Who based in some way. If they were going to be there, because that's what we want this to be, is a it's a Doctor Who festival. So let's push more towards Doctor Who items. So I know last year some people had, I believe, purses,
Yes.
satchels, different things like that as well, jewelry. So it's pretty neat. So there's a little bit of something for everyone of all ages, so that people aren't thinking, well, can I really bring my kids? Are my kids going to have any fun with this? Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, even kids that may have just started becoming fans of classic Doctor Who, or at least have seen Sophie with Power of the Doctor, she loves kids. I'm not kidding you. I mean, she is amazing with kids. So don't be afraid to bring your younger kids with you to this, to get them to have a little bit of experience. So I'm just excited about it. I always am about any Doctor Who convention or so on. So.
All right. Before I forget, I want to mention a couple other people that are going to be there as well. One of the things that I got signed on to when I arrive on Friday afternoon is I'm going to be interviewed on camera by the local PBS station, and
Yes.
one of our guests there is Russell McGee, who will be there signing his books. And he contacted me directly and said he's doing this little thing for PBS and wanted to know if I could be on the show. And I said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. And of course, Brandon Peters will be there as well. He's a podcaster and a showrunner, so he'll be there as well. I also want to thank the sponsors for Doctoberfest publicly here. We've got, of course, Big O Tires out of Mooresville, Indiana. We've got the LHC&E HVAC and electric sponsoring, and BWS stump removal. So we thank you all for your support of Doctoberfest. So before we wrap up, any last words on Doctoberfest, my friend?
Man, I don't know what to say other than, come on out. I mean, it's fantastic. As I said, this is a much more intimate setting. So it's a great chance to have a little bit more of a one-on-one. And also it's a great way to network in terms of friends. I mean, you really start to make some friends. You meet other fans and realize, okay, I'm not such a geek that people kind of look at like I'm weird. It's more of, hey, here are all these other people that have the same interests from all walks of life. I mean, you've got some professionals. I mean, doctors, literal doctors that go to these things, and here's their chance to actually be a bit crazy and go, yeah, I might be a doctor during the day, but in the evenings, I'm a fan of the Doctor. And just getting to know people. I mean, that's how I met you, and again, some of the celebrities and even writers and things like that. And it's just really, really neat to get to do something like this and meet people that you can end up becoming friends with, for life. Even I have some that I became friends with at conventions overseas back in 2013 that I'm still friends with, and some I could probably consider, as strangely as it is, being opposite sides of the pond, as they would say, some of my closest friends.
Yes, I agree.
That I have had the opportunity to finally meet in person. So, I mean, this is worthwhile, guys. I mean, not just for the celebrities, but to meet other fans. And I mean, Katie, real quick, because I know she's been on your show numerous times, to have met her for the first time last year at Doctoberfest. Oh my goodness, that woman is so infectious. I mean,
She is.
The energy and stuff like that. I'm like that in the classroom. I have a hard time being like that out public, outside of a classroom. I don't know why, but to see her like that, it makes me feel like I can probably get out of my shell a little bit more and maybe not be as crazy, but I can be crazy out of things like that. And people aren't going to really look at me strangely like, oh, okay, how much caffeine have you had? Have you been doing something you shouldn't be doing to get you that high? I love her. And then in a personal sense, outside of it, I love these motivational things that she sends like on Fridays.
Yes.
There are days that I actually look forward to seeing these because I'm like, this has been a long week as a teacher. And on a Friday to see that, I'm like, oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Katie. And again, I just met her at a show through you. And now, you know, again, it's worthwhile, guys. I mean, you can make some friends for life through this, and it's just great. It really is. So
Absolutely.
I highly recommend. Go to Chicago TARDIS. Go any of these shows. Please go to them. But especially in the next few weeks, Doctoberfest, please. This is awesome.
Yeah, definitely come down to Doctoberfest because this kicks off the fall convention season for many of us here. And, you know, Katie Haynes, I met her at Chicago TARDIS a couple of years ago, and she came in full costume and just was in character the entire time. And of course, we became very good friends from there. She will be with me here at Doctoberfest. And of course, I'll also have the help of my good friend Galen Jenkins, who does an amazing Fourth Doctor cosplay. He'll be at Doctoberfest this year as well. He was really interested to have an opportunity with Sophie. So it's really quite amazing to do this. And of course, I still shake myself and go, wait, I'm a guest here. You know, just, you know, when they bring you a sandwich and stuff like that, I'm like, really? Like, this is how it goes. So yeah, that's what's exciting about it. Go
competition.
ahead.
Yeah. Before I forget.
Yes, competition.
Point out, there are a lot of competitions here. I wish I could be involved because I would love to do something like the diorama competition, but now being kind of a liaison, being a guest there, I would be afraid to participate because I would think people would go, oh, this has got to be rigged then. So, but I mean, they've got great Lego competition for those that are huge Lego fans.
Yes.
You've of course got the cosplay lookalike competition. Good luck, guys, against Katie Haynes. I'm going to tell you that right now.
She won last year, everybody.
Yeah,
so.
she's fantastic. So you guys really have to one up her to do this. In fact, I don't know if the first time you ever met her, was she running with her British accent or her actual voice? Because
her northern accent.
No idea. I had no idea that she had an American accent for months.
When she met Fraser Hines, she was in full northern accent, and Fraser asked her, "What part of the North do you come from?" And that blew her away. And she said, "Oh, no, I'm just doing a voice." And Fraser looked shocked when she went back to her normal voice because she was she was at Chicago TARDIS in between photo sessions. They let her do some stuff around the TARDIS, and Fraser was coming in for a photo thing and saw her and heard her speaking and wanted to talk to her. And I thought, well, that's really something. So yeah, you'll get to see her. She's extremely infectious. You'll see that along with many other people. But anyway, thank you, my friend, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely, we'll see you in a couple weeks at Doctoberfest. And for my fans out there, stay tuned for the most outrageous offer.
Hello, fellow time travelers, and welcome to the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, the only podcast to discuss, in story order, all the Doctor Who novelizations. My name is Tony Whitt, and every 2 weeks or so, I'm joined by a 2 to 3 person discussion panel, including our so-called expert who's been a Who fan since 1979. That would be me. We also get the views of intermediate, casual, and novice fans who either have never seen the show or who have never read these books until these podcasts, including
Dalton Hughes
and
Alison Fitz-Seyfried.
You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find good podcasts, or even ones like ours. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors podcast on the Direction Point Podcast Network. Keep collecting.
Hi, I'm Rupert Booth.
I am known as Paul Ferry.
And my name is Barry Williams.
Together, we host Time Ram.
Time Ram's a cruel mistress.
It's a random number generator.
That also.
We roll a number from 1 to 13, and that's our doctor. Then 1 to 300 for the story, and then we ram them together.
Even if it doesn't make sense.
Cruel, I tell you.
Time round, putting the wrong doctors in the wrong stories, so you don't have to.
You're listening to
the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast.
You are invited on an adventure across all of time and space, in a completely random order. It's the Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. Jump in the TARDIS with your hosts,
Eric Gulbranson,
Asad Kheshki,
and
Matthew Kressel.
Explore Doctor Who TV stories, audio adventures, and books, both novels and non-fiction. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. It's the entire Whoniverse on shuffle. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast is a member of the Direction Point Network and is available about once a month wherever you find your podcasts. You are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
The Vervoids are probably the best dirty joke in Doctor Who.
They're hermaphroditic plants.
A lot of plants are.
So there you go. It's based on science.
No, they'll ship anything.
There are probably 11 and handle shippers out there. You just have to drill a hole where his mouth is, and you're all set.
You know he needs the room. I've seen it in pictures.
I'm not saying you're not a fan. I'm saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Doctor Who gives a drunken Doctor Who podcast for the end times.
All my travellings throughout the universe, I have battled against evil, against power-mad conspirators. I should have stayed here. The oldest civilization. Decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core. Power-mad conspirators, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen. They're still in the nursery compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really corrupt.
And now it's time for the most outrageous offer. The most outrageous offer is a Doctor Who item, Doctor Who related item. That seems a bit too high a price for what it's supposedly worth. And we investigate this as best we can. And hopefully, more information will come to light on these things. Of course, we still haven't beaten the $1 million calendar yet, but that's okay. But today we have an outrageous item. It's from Abe Books. This was brought to my attention by a collector who didn't want their name mentioned, so we, of course, keep that confidential. Anyway, in talking about hardcover books, especially the books published by W.H. Allen, there may be not a ceiling for some of those prices. Some of those prices, I believe, in my opinion, are a bit outrageous, but this one in particular comes into play here. This is Doctor Who and the Seeds of Doom by Philip Hinchcliffe from 1977 with Dust Jacket, a ex-library copy, and it is being sold by Half Price Books in Dallas, Texas. I'm not sure how this book got to Dallas, Texas. That's an interesting thing there. I have written to the bookstore, but of course it might take a long time for them to find it. Anyway, the condition is not new. This is not a new book. They are asking $1,671.22, which is more money than a mint copy of Doctor Who and the Auton Invasion, or a mint copy of The Smugglers, which are both more rare than this book. It does not say whether this is a, it says 77, so I'm going to take it as a first edition. There is a second edition as well. But that's what we've got here. The screenshot and link are on the website. I have also found a copy of this book in the same condition. And this is actually from the Alder Bookshop in the UK. It's actually, this is the second impression of the book in 1978. So it's the same book, just a second impression. They've got their copy for $439.79. Now, in my opinion, the second edition's probably worth a little more because fewer of those were done. But again, this could be very controversial. They're asking a lot less for this than the other one. So the first edition copy, just not it's really quite interesting how there's like almost a $1,200 gap here. So we'll see what happens. I'll be keeping an eye on both of these for a while. Now, I have a first edition in my collection. I do not have a second, but even $439 for the second edition of an ex-library book is definitely not, A-books tends to be higher priced than some of the other places, but that's certainly not in my price range for that. So, of course, it's also $15 shipping from the United Kingdom, and the other one is in Texas. Or is it in Texas? We don't even know. So we'll hopefully get some more information. Maybe if you're a seller out there and you know what I'm talking about, maybe you can write to us at drwhocollectorspodcast@gmail.com and let me know, and I'll follow up with this on the next episode. So that takes care of the most outrageous offer. And our most outrageous offer is presented today by Telos Publications. So be sure to visit Telos Publications for the best in Doctor Who books. And they're just amazing people there. David J. Howe, of course, is the head of that. And you can find Telos at telos.co.uk. Some of the books that are coming out right now is Doctor Who, the production diary for the Hartnell years, the fanzine book, This Is a Fake, a collection of unreal things, John Nathan Turner's production diary, the Time War, of course, the Who Adventures, which we talked about on this podcast, and many other books. So give them a shout out. And that wraps it up for this version of the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Thank you for listening. I want to thank my guest today, Eluides Pagan, and join us in Indianapolis coming up on October 20th for the Doctoberfest. October 21st is the actual day. The 20th Friday is the dinner. The 23rd is the brunch. If you already have tickets, you're good to go. And we'll see you there. Be sure to visit the Who room. We're going to have that Who collecting room and, of course, the main panel room. So until then, keep collecting.
Direction point! Direction point!
A Doctor Who Podcast Network.